Um, all right, well, let's call this meeting to the order. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Kristen, you want to call the roll?
Brad Bassick.
Here.
Ed Repay.
Here.
Joe Skabarik.
Here.
Nicole Kelly.
Here.
Jen Wilson. Here. John Novosich.
Here.
Irene Morales.
Here.
Carly Morris.
Here.
Joshua Barnes.
Here.
Christian Bartholomew.
Here.
Robin Arbonitis.
Here.
All right, first up on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the December 5th, 2024 meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next up is the election of officers and the appointment of our attorney. Does anyone have any thoughts, or do we want to make any changes to the officers, or are we good with how things are?
I think we're good.
I think we should continue with the current slate.
Is that okay with everybody?
Can we take that as a nomination
Okay.
of the present slate? And if that's the case, we'll open up for any further nominations.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to nominate the current slate for officers for 2025.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We need to appoint a liaison to the Park Foundation. Is that you, Kristen?
I believe it's Jen.
Jen.
Jen?
It's Jen.
Are you the liaison to the Park Foundation? Okay, okay.
I'd like to make a motion to continue with Jen as the liaison to the Park Foundation.
And I'll
You have a
second.
motion and a second?
Sorry.
That's okay. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay.
That is okay.
We should probably ask you first.
Too bad.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And then lastly, apparently we need representation. This is new to me. We'll accept nominations.
Yeah, I'd like to make a recommendation to continue with the attorneys at Burke and Stans and Carberry.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, everybody.
Very
One
good.
more year. Okay. John, any correspondence?
None.
Okay. Reports from staff.
Start to the right with Josh.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hope
Good to see you.
everyone
It's
had-
been a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a hot minute either, yeah. I hope everyone had a great Christmas and a great New Year. It's quite cold outside. So nothing really new to report. We are full steam ahead for the new year. It seems like a lot of people are excited for this year. I don't know necessarily what the hype is about, but I'll take it. People are all aboard. We just released our bus trips today. We've had people kind of bombarding us in regards to when are those going to be released. We had quite a successful year with our bus trips last year. The things we are working on right now would be our mother, son, and daddy-daughter dances. We are very excited for those this year. The theme is a masquerade ball, but it's set in a Candyland theme. And what's even more exciting is it seems the mother-son is keeping up with the daddy-daughter registrations, which is actually quite huge. We typically have a big disparity in regards to the registration, so to see that kind of keeping up with that pace of daddy-daughter is great and promising, because I think what I've been told is we're one of few, if not one of the only ones that have the only mother-son dance, so that's quite exciting. Besides that, we are focusing on getting things ready for our programs leading into the new year, as well as we're prepping for the craft shows. So a lot of things in the works. We have several meetings set up, especially with me, Irene, and Kim, to really start digging in deep for our events this year, what we can provide new, what we can update, and things of that nature. So yeah, that's all I got right now.
Awesome.
Any questions?
Thanks.
Any questions from the board? Okay.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. New Year.
So for right now, we don't have any official numbers for you guys just yet. We're going to go over that next meeting, basically, how we did trimester 3 and then overall 2024 as well. But for now, what I do have right now, kind of what he said, we're working on getting all of our programs on our catalog, our online catalog. We just opened up the dog park registration for 25, and at the end of January, we are going to open up registration or start taking applications for field rentals at Rorman.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you so much. Any questions from the board? We're on record pace, guys. This is great. Excellent. I can go for it.
We can't chit chat, so.
I don't have much right now. Like Carly said, we're going through all the numbers. We're going to get you a master report of what we're doing. I did look over staff hours, and we did save about, it was like 5 to 10% on the budget with staff hours. So non-reverting is different from general. So those were pretty good. So we're not, in the negative or anything like that.
Okay.
No, but basically, that's it for now. I did have a meeting today. We are going over just lighting for the town for Christmas next year. So we're a year in advance, just with the event that we had, with the chamber, and that was, awesome with the tree lighting. So we're just trying to get a head start early, so, we'll have bigger things in mind.
That's
for next
awesome.
year. Yeah.
I'm actually really impressed that you guys are already ready to talk about Christmas again.
Yeah, well, too,
Just took our decorations down.
a lot of places are trying to get rid of stuff now because it's so far away. So it's, you get discounts,
Get
a
some
lot of good things.
deals,
if you-
yeah. That's awesome.
So, we're always trying to be one step ahead of everybody. So, yeah, and that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Kristen?
So I don't have I didn't put a report in the packet, but for room rentals, we finished off 2024 at 118 rentals. Last year, we were in the 90s. So
Great.
we are up from last year.
Word's getting out.
And then we also reserved this past year, 114. So that 4 extra was probably booked in December of 2023 and put towards those
Oh, got it.
numbers.
Okay.
So-
Sure.
Yep.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you very much. John, what about you?
Just to add to that, we'll have more of a complete report next month, but just looking at some of the numbers from last year, really was a great year. We had 25 free special events that were offered. That probably had an attendance around 90,000 for all those
Awesome.
events. 166 paid or fee-based programs and trips that were offered. And we had about 4,500 people sign up and pay for those programs and trips through Civic. Plus, Joshua was 1,100 vendors that participate in the events. And like Kristen said, the rentals, we had 106 shelter rentals, so that was pretty much on from last year too. And then just practices and games alone at Rorman were, about 750 for the season.
Wow.
So a lot of activity going on, a lot of usage in the parks, and staff's done a great job of promoting and keeping up with that. I don't know how, because there's a lot, but somehow we managed, so.
You guys work hard.
Oh, yeah. Nonstop.
We know. We appreciate you.
Nonstop.
Awesome.
Love to do it.
That's all.
Okay. Any old business from the board? None? Okay, we'll jump into new business then. First on the agenda is to consider approval of a donation request to St. Michael's School.
Carly, actually, I believe, received this request last month.
Yes, last month. Did you want me to cover it?
It's basically similar to the request last year that came in front of the board for a donation of an annual dog park pass, as well as a large shelter rental for Reeder Park. And this is for their education program.
Yeah, it's for Lake Central. It's for St. Michael's passport fundraiser, and all of the proceeds that they get go back into the school.
And what's the monetary value on these?
For the dog park pass, it would be up to $100, and Kristen for park shelter.
For the shelter, if they had 75 to 150 people, it would be $180.
Are we like putting restrictions around it, or, could somebody like,
Have it on the day of Schererville Fest.
Yeah, right.
That kind of stuff.
I mean, yeah, the dates have to be available that
Okay.
they want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can't be blocked out by like a Schererville Fest or.
I was also envisioning
Is
like,
July 4th still open?
yeah,
Can we-
right, yeah. That's awesome, okay.
Yeah, what Carly and Kristen made up certificates last year, more like a gift certificate, and we had on there dates subject to availability. Of course, dog park is subject to all the typical registration requirements that anyone would have to provide. And then both donations are really intended for this year's use only, so
Okay.
cannot be carried over into
Okay,
future year.
Yeah, it looks like they have an annual event, and they have silent auction on February 22nd. And I think St. Michael's, didn't they win an award during our parade?
Yeah, the parade.
yeah, the parade, they got the,
Yeah.
one of the floats.
Yeah, what,
Yeah.
Brad got a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
When I originally read this letter, I didn't read it all very clearly, and I thought they wanted to use the Reeder Park shelter on February 22nd, and I was like, wow, God bless them. Okay.
One
I'm
that's
not going to be there, but that sounds great.
One that's available.
Yeah, right.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so.
With all that in mind, I'd
Yes.
like to make a motion to approve the donation request from St. Michael's for an annual 2025 dog park pass and a Reeder Park large shelter rental for 2025 for their silent auction on February 22nd.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Sorry, Joe, did you say aye?
Yeah.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay, next up is acceptance of the fireworks proposal from the Mad Bomber.
Yes, you have in front of you a proposal for this year's fireworks event, which is scheduled for June 27th. We have to determine a rain date.
July 4th.
The proposal is basically the same as last year. The difference is there was a $1,000 increase in the total cost for the show
32,000, am I reading that right? Okay.
versus 31,000.
Yep, okay, yep. Any questions or discussion? We use them, it's the same person we use every year, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly. Yep, okay.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept the Mad Bomber fireworks proposal for June 27th for $32,000.
okay. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, next up is to consider the acceptance of the 2025 Schererville soccer lease.
So this year's lease is based on the discussions that were held last month during the study session.
Okay,
The terms of the lease and the covenants are the same as last year's lease, actually, except for the dates. Should be penciled in there. Are the dates penciled in for,
I have the dates penciled into the
put them in there?
official copies I have. So the dates for practices is April 1st, and the game schedule is April 15th. The payment is due on December 15th.
did we get payment from last year?
Yes, we did.
We did. Just since we're on the subject, did we get payment from softball last year?
Yes.
Before I forget to ask. Okay, great, thank you.
Does anybody owe us money?
Yeah, well, if I don't ask it while I'm thinking about it, then I'll forget to ask it.
I write notes.
Yeah, right, there you go. Okay, that's what this paper and pen stuff is for. Okay, any questions or discussion? I know at the discussions that we had with them last month, we had notified them that we were probably going to be increasing their payment next year. Can we make sure to just make a note of that so that whenever discussions occur in December of this year, that we just remember that we had discussed that with them and that we're intending to do that? And then I want to make sure we give them some notice. So maybe ideally, we just figure out what that's going to look like. I would say, I don't know, what, September? You think that's fair?
It'd probably be a good idea to
Yeah.
discuss that
Yeah.
a few months before.
Yeah, absolutely. That way they have time.
And on that note, there was a similar discussion that we had with girls softball.
Right.
And we mentioned
Yep.
that there would be an increase this year and
Yes.
subsequent years. And I know Carly's been in some conversation with them.
Okay.
We haven't drafted that lease yet, but we could get into that after the approval of the soccer lease.
Okay.
If you want to.
Yep, absolutely.
One more comment.
Yes.
The discussion we had last month had some work that was done to show what our cost was.
Yeah.
Is there some way to incorporate that into this agreement as an exhibit or as a, just so that we don't lose that information? Because a year from now, we're going to go through the same exercise.
I think either that, or have we ever thought about developing an agreement, especially with like soccer and softball, because there's so much turnover of leadership there, of coming up with like a 2 or 3 year agreement, where we're, mentioning that it's 5,000 this year, next year, let's say 5,500, year after, type of thing. Because it seems like we go through leadership changes with these two organizations, and we're always educating them, and we end up at where we are right now, which is 5,000, and I'm just afraid we don't ever step it up.
My only comment to that would be that we're going to, because there's so much turnover within their leadership anyway, we're going to have a conversation anyway.
Right.
If we, the stuff that we put together, I shouldn't say we, that you guys put together for our benefit. I want to give credit where credit's due. Involved our costs in maintaining the field and things like that. I don't know how you feel, Christian. I don't know that that's something that I would put in their lease.
Is it just for informational purposes? Is that the idea, so that they see it? If that's the case, I don't know that it needs to be in the agreement itself. I mean, if you want to distribute an information sheet along with the
Okay.
along with the contract, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
I do agree, though, that we should, whatever spreadsheet you guys made, we should just be updating that every year. And we should probably do that for softball, too. I don't know if you guys do that or not, but we should track that over time. And I think that will, and then you guys can come to us and be like, hey, I don't know if you're aware of this, but our cost for soccer is less, or is more than they're paying right now. And you can come to us and say, hey, we need to have a conversation. I just think, just like you guys are doing with the spreadsheets with our costs for the concession stands and the rentals and things like that, I think any like consistent leasee of Parks land, we should be tracking our costs there too, to make sure that we're just being good stewards of.
And Carly and I did
that.
meet and discuss that already.
Yeah.
So.
I don't want to, I know we'll lose it because we didn't do that work. They did the work. But
Yeah.
This preserves it for us, but if they preserve it or if you preserve it, that's,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
As long as we can call
I'm not
upon
sure if
it.
soccer received a copy of that at the last meeting. Did they get that spreadsheet?
Yes,
Yeah,
they did.
we discussed it with them. They were, yeah.
If I
sort
could
of
comment on
blindsided
Joe's
with it, but yeah.
point, one of the reasons, and Christian could correct me if I'm wrong, but that we stayed away from the long-term leases because they have to be advertised if it's more than 1 year. And we kind of shied away from opening up, say, leasing the ball fields at Rorman that could get a variety of proposals or bids to use that from other outside organizations. And that's why we kept it
Yes.
years ago back to the 1 year, term.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And that is a downside of it, is that there's sometimes the continuity lacks from year to year within the organizations that we have the leases with. But on the other hand, the positive is we're not boxed into maybe something longer term, where
Yeah.
years ago, we might have had a 5-year agreement that really, don't want to say handcuffed us, but,
Yeah.
there was changes that maybe we couldn't implement because we were bound by that lease.
Yeah.
Is there public posting of what it would cost each year for a lease? Or do you work that out with each individual organization that asks
That's
to lease?
worked out with each individual organization.
Based on like time frame and
Usage,
how much
usage
use?
primarily, and
Okay.
like staff, what staff needs to be out there.
Okay.
How much work Carly has to do, all of those things are taken into account.
There was a fee schedule for use of rental reservations for soccer and the ball fields.
Yeah.
The lease
For, like,
agreement
just an
allows
average
these
citizen, yeah.
organizations to kind of have a separate agreement that's more advantageous as far as the cost scaling compared to the ordinance fee cost structure we're bound to by ordinance. So the lease gives them an opportunity to have a use of the facilities at a better or more substantial
Discounted rate,
discount
yeah.
than what they would have to pay.
Yeah.
So we kind of we use that as a basis of, this is what it would be if you were following the ordinance, and then this is also how much of a discount you're getting for using the facilities.
Yeah, I can't remember if you were not at the last meeting, I don't think, yeah.
No.
So, we had outlined that for them, and the staff had put together what it would have cost under ordinance
Okay.
if they had per hour of usage, or however we measured it. I don't remember exactly how I measured it. And I believe their discount right now is over 50%. If I remember
Okay.
correctly, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
That sounds correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're getting a really substantial discount
Okay.
because, it's
Yeah.
a Schererville organization, and,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Any other questions or discussion regarding the Schererville soccer lease? Any motions that anyone would like to make?
I'll make a motion to accept the 2025 Schererville soccer lease.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Any other new business for the board? Go
The
ahead.
girls softball lease.
Yep.
There was discussions that Brad and staff, we've had with girls softball at the beginning of, really at the end of '23 for '24. At that time, there was discussion that the lease will be going up incrementally, probably for the next 3 years. That fee has not been established, but based on conversations that we had at that time, the suggested fee for this year's lease would be $3,500.
Okay.
And if we're going to forward this lease agreement to girls softball, and Carly's been in contact with them, then I would suggest the board put in the form of a motion to go ahead and forward a lease agreement to Schererville softball with the
new
rent or
payment.
the usage to be at $3,500.
Just given the amount of turnover that they also have within their organization at the board level, is the current board the same people who participated in that discussion
Yes.
last year? Or in
That's a good
2023?
point,
They
yeah.
are? Okay. Yeah, I want to make sure we don't blindside.
assuming
I want to
that,
make
but yeah,
sure.
you're right,
Yeah, okay.
that's-
As long as that's the case,
Right.
then I think that
All the
probably
other
makes
terms
sense.
would be the same.
The same, absolutely. Okay.
And is the current fee 3,000?
Correct.
So we're going
Yeah.
from 3,000 to 3,500?
Yep.
And Carly's had conversations already with them and the president, and they're kind of aware that there was going to be an increase this year based on that.
Yes, that is correct.
But we haven't formally presented an agreement to them yet.
Well, the one that they just paid was for 34, 3,400.
What was the least?
The 23 was 2,000, and then we went up to 3,400.
Okay.
So-
For 2024?
24.
Correct.
Okay.
So we would be at 3,900.
We'd be at 39,
Okay,
yes.
thank you
39.
for pointing
Okay.
that out.
Yep.
It'd be-
Thanks for clarifying. Yep. Okay, so, John, if I understand what you said correctly, you need a motion from us to authorize Carly to go ahead and
Authorize that, or
update
make
the
that
lease
fee.
and have
yeah.
it sent. Okay, okay.
So,
And that's in the amount of 3,900.
correct.
Okay.
That's an odd thing. That's an odd thing.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to authorize staff to work on a lease agreement and send it to the softball organization for the fee for 2025 to be $3,900.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Any other business from the board? Any business from the floor? Any comments from the live stream or questions? Are we even set up for that?
We're not doing the questions from the live stream live. What we do is we'll put a response with the phone number to the office and just redirect them to talk to the office about questions.
Oh, okay, okay. Sounds great.
Even better.
But it had some issues.
I trust you guys. I bet there are probably some pretty interesting questions. Yeah, okay, fair enough, okay.
Can you let us know, is anyone live streaming?
Besides our spouses.
There was one question, and like I said, we just put the phone number to the community center and had them call. That's all.
How many views do we have? Are we like YouTube famous yet?
There are about 13 people watching.
All right, well, thank you for watching.
16,
Full
sorry.
disclosure, I'm one of them.
Christian's one of them.
The attorney's one of them, okay, that's great.
A lucky number.
So 15. Well, welcome.
Yes.
We'll try to make it more entertaining for you in the future. Okay. Then with that, we already have our meeting date for February, correct?
So I don't have our.
I don't
paper,
have
but
the handout.
When is
Should
it?
we just state it?
First Wednesday
It's the first
Is it?
Wednesday, I believe,
at 6,
I think that's the only one.
I believe.
February
February
5th,
5th.
February 5th?
6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock. Yes?
Yep.
Yep, okay. Well, since that's a regularly scheduled time, I don't think we need a motion for the next meeting, so we just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Wow, that was fast. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
That was faster. Motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Meeting is adjourned.